two of the fastest growing people in the world of Amway, two people whose hearts are big as the world. Join with me and bring on Jim and Dinah Martin. I appreciate Bill getting that band for me. Kind of warming me up just a little bit. You know, I had a dream a long time ago, and I used to stand out there where you guys are standing, and I'd watch all the diamonds come across with their wives, and it's beautiful to watch them come up from the side of that stage and walk across. And I want you guys to put a picture in your mind. I want you to imagine your wife in a beautiful dress that you just took out and bought her, one you picked out. Doesn't matter if she likes it or not. I like kissing, boy. We almost didn't make it over here tonight. I should put it on, and I went out today and got her a dozen roses because that was in the dream too. And I went out last night and put a ring on her finger because that was in the dream too. And you know, show it to them. Can you see it? And I want to tell you something that I've had that in my mind ever since I saw the first diamond parade his wife across this stage in Charlotte at the first Free Enterprise Day we ever went to. And I lost a lot of dreams that I had, but I never lost that dream and I never lost that vision. And you know, I guess for the last 4 or 5 years we've been fake diamonds. But tonight it feels good to stand up before you and not be a fake anymore. And I want to give you my wife, Dinah.
Can you take this? Thank you. Oh, well. Are y'all ready? Okay. Just wait. I'm going to talk fast. I'm excited. I'm excited to get to talk to you. And there's so many of you, and I can't see you all, and it's kind of dark, but I would like to just talk to you. And so if y'all can just calm down and listen, maybe I can calm down and talk. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself just for you to get to know me, so you can say you know me. I wasn't always like this. I didn't always dress like this, and I still don't in Waco when we go down to the Waco grocery. But it's nice, and I like it. I really like it. But I was my daddy's answer to the boy that he never had. And I know I don't look like it tonight, but he taught me to hunt and fish, and he brought me home pets like snakes and turtles, and that was my life. And I filled that role for him because I wanted to make him happy, and I was happy. And I just wore blue jeans all the time, and I still do that too, except when we need to come and speak to y'all, and then we dress up. But when I was growing up, it wasn't glamorous. I was the tallest person in my class, and now I'm short. I quit and everybody kept growing, but for a long time, I was the tallest person in the class, and that was embarrassing to be a girl. And I was kind of chubby and didn't have any girlfriends. I only had boy friends, not like sweethearts, but just my friends were boys. And I remember my first birthday party that I was going to have a real party, and Mama wanted to buy me a pretty dress, and I told her I really couldn't do anything in that dress. You know, I just wanted to wear my jeans. And then she asked me who I wanted to invite, and I told her, and she said, no girls. And I said, well, you know, I don't know. I said, I just wanted my friends here, you know. So, you know, it was kind of funny. Mama cried. And then there was a Christmas coming up, and Mama wanted to get me a dollhouse because she was really excited about buying a dollhouse and putting stuff in it. And she played for it 3 months before Christmas, and then she gave it to me. And I got really excited because it was just the right size to get on and ride like a horse. And that was the last dollhouse I ever got. And another thing that kind of, you know, kept me humble, one of my legs is just a little, it's not crooked or anything, but it's just sideways a little bit, so they put me in corrective shoes. And they were big, brown, ugly, lace-up Oxford corrective shoes, and I had to walk around in those all the time. But they didn't work, which is good, because it was that walk, the way that legs kind of turned, that first caught Jim's attention. So that was all right. I had a really good life growing up. I was raised in the church, and Mom and Daddy took me to church every time the doors opened, and I sang in church, and I taught in church, and I played the piano in church, and it was good. And I had like a charmed life because I was living good. I had a good life. And then I went to college, and then I met Jim, and my life changed. And Jim was unlike the people that I had known and unlike the people that I had grown up with, but I fell in love with him. And when I first met Jim, he was terrifying to me because he was so big, and I always dated short, cute, nice guys, and Jim wasn't short. And he really wasn't that cute, and he wasn't nice, but I fell in love with him, so, you know, opposites attract. So, we fell in love. I remember the first gift Jim ever gave me. And y'all know the gifts he's given me now. Well, it was different back then. The first gift he gave me was a 25-pound bag of dog food. And that was good because I didn't have any money, and I had a mother dog with puppies, and she needed food. So that was a real thoughtful gift. And then he gave me 2 white rats to keep me company in the dorm room, which was pretty thoughtful. And for our first date, he promised me, he said, Carden, that was my maiden name, he said, if you'll go out with me, I'll bring you some bubble gum. And when he said that, I was kind of scared of him before he said that, but after he said, I'll bring you some bubble gum if you'll go out with me, I thought somebody with an approach like that couldn't be dangerous, and I thought he probably needed help, you know, so I was willing. And now what I want to do is something that is fun for me. I have brought along some announcements and some newspaper clippings and some invitations. And I'm not going to read them all, or, you know, all of them, but I'm just going to read you some parts of some clippings, some things that came out in newspapers, some announcements that were sent to people that tell our story. And the first one is a wedding invitation, and it just says, Mr. and Mrs. Robert L. Carden request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter, Dinah Sue, to Harry James Martin. And that was very important in our story. And then I've got something else, and just to kind of fill you in on what was happening, like 4 years later, it says, Dr. Harry James Martin, doctor of veterinary medicine, opens his Berea office on Wednesday, July the 11th for the practice of large and small veterinary medicine. And it says Dr. Martin was a graduate and blah, blah, blah. And it says his wife, Dinah, also attended Berea College and re-entered school as a junior last February, 4 years after I quit. They had 2 sons, John and James, John 3 and James 1. Okay? That's part of the story. There's another newspaper clipping, and here is Dr. Martin once again, and it says, wins Gibbons Award. Harry James Martin, son of Mrs. Nell Campbell Martin, awarded the Gibbons Award and $100. And Jim was tops. In his class, he was the top large animal surgical student, and we got $100. And we were so excited at that point of our lives, and we went to McDonald's and we ate, and it was great, and we were so proud. And that's part of our story. And then there's a little insignificant thing. I didn't bring it because it's framed and it hangs on the wall in our office, but it's a pink piece of paper, and it's an Amway application. And I signed it, and I signed Jim's name, and y'all could just come and look at that sometime. And it fits into our story real well. And then I have another one here that says, this is right after we got into Amway, and this is a very, very important one, and it says, you are cordially invited to the grand opening of Berea Animal Hospital, March the 4th, 1974. Now, it's getting exciting. We opened an animal hospital. I have another one. This one is nice looking. It's engraved. It's on super paper. It's got an eagle on the front. Hey, folks, veterinarians don't put eagles on stuff. They put dogs, cats, cows, or horses, okay? You're going to like this one. In this bicentennial year, on the 6th day of August, Dr. Harry James Martin announces his retirement from the Berea Animal Hospital. That was fun. It meant everything to us. It changed our lives because of the pink Amway application that I have hanging in the office. That's our story. That's just the highlights of our story. You know, we didn't put out announcements, and we didn't invite people to come and watch. And we didn't put it in the newspaper, the struggles, and the heartaches, and the hardships. Because we know that people don't want to hear about the labor pains. They just want to see the baby. So that's what we did for a lot of years. We just showed them the baby, and we didn't tell them about how rough it was. And I'm not going to tell you that tonight, but I want you to know it was. And I want you to know it will be for you. And I want you to know I'm glad. Because if you don't have a struggle, then you're not growing. And y'all know that old worm has to struggle to get out of the cocoon. And that's what we were, just a couple of old slugs, and we just started coming out, you know, and we just got better and better and prettier and fancier, you know, it's good. And we struggled, and we still are, and I wish that for you. I want you to have that, because most of our struggles, all of our major struggles, have now turned into victories. We had a struggle with our parents. Our parents and all of our family were very negative against this business, and they didn't want us to do this business, and they worried about it because we were doing it. And they said, Dinah, don't do it. And I did. And then they said, Dinah, leave Jim alone. And I didn't. But it was all right. Now our family says, get it Amway. Jim and Dinah got in, they got rich, it's good, you know, and they got in. So it's good, and that struggle is a total victory for us now. Our marriage was the worst struggle I've ever endured. It was awful, and now it's good. So know that whatever struggles you're going through right now, it's going to be all right. Honey, dreams come true in this business. I want to tell you, dreams come true tonight. Tonight is it. Tonight is the night that we have worked for and waited for and sweated for and cried over. Tonight is the night. And it's so exciting. And I want you all right now, and I just hope you are. I hope you're sharing it with us. And I hope you're feeling it. And I hope you're seeing yourself standing in this place. Because that's what I did last year. I just watched, and I felt everything that I thought these people on stage were feeling. And it worked for me, and I want it to work for you. We've traveled all over the world. We've traveled to San Francisco, Seattle, the Caribbean, Alaska, Miami, Europe. Hawaii is coming up. It's exciting. If you want to travel, do this business and pack your bags, and you'll love it. We have in this business gotten things like cars, Mercedes, Cadillacs, all that kind of stuff. A fur coat. I got a fur coat. Jim bought it for me, and I wear it. And it's been hot this summer too, you know. But I like it. And you know, Jim bought me a nice diamond ring 2 years ago, and then last night he bought me this diamond ring, and this diamond ring just happened to be my dream ring, and it was exactly what I have dreamed of for all these years, and I'm wearing it now. And dreams happen, and they come true. And you know, one of our dreams was a farm, just some acreage and a barn and a few ponds and a horse and a cow and a few things, and we got that, and we love it, and we just get out on the farm and walk around and swim in the ponds and have fun. And you know, that pond mud just comes right out of the diamond rings. It doesn't hurt them. I take them in the jewelry store, and I said, would you clean that up, you know, and they do, so that's all right. And you know, I guess the greatest thing, though, the greatest thing that I have gotten out of this business hasn't been any of the things I just mentioned. The greatest thing that this business has gained me has been my man. And I got, through this business and through working and through being stubborn and awful and just doing it, I got the greatest man in the world. And you know, who could put a price on that? That was the best. And you know, tonight is such an honor to speak to all of you. And it's just such an honor to be here and share with you. And we love you. And so many of you, we know you. And we love you so much. But I want you to know there are two people here tonight that we've never spoken to before. They've never been in an audience like this before. And that's our sons, John and James. And you got to believe that everything we're saying tonight is true, because if it wasn't, they'd know. And it's very important to us that they respect us. And one day, not too long ago, I said, boys, I tell them this all the time. I said, boys, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And immediate reaction was, Mama, we're proud of you all too. And I love that. And that's another thing that you could never put a price on. You know, our boys ask us questions in this business that might be hard for you to answer, but expect questions like this from your children and get ready and build it, and all their questions will be answered. Our boys have looked me in the eyes and said, Mama, why did they quit Amway? And you know, I don't know. I didn't know what to tell them, but it's okay, and they know people have quit, and they know the people that have succeeded, and we really spend more time with the people that have succeeded. And they have seen all of our struggles. They've been in the back seat. And they've watched, and they've suffered through them, but they've had a victory with us. And they went diamond when we went diamond, and that was good. And you know, they've shared all of the excitement. It's been great for them. As we have been excited, they're excited. And when we jump up and down, they jump up and down. And sometimes when we maybe not feel like jumping up and down, we look at them and we jump up and down because they're so excited about this business. They have earned rewards. And I'm always so careful to teach my children that we're not giving them handouts. We're not just giving them a new toy or buying them something. We're just sharing with them the rewards that they've earned because they have worked with us through this business. They're just 8 and 10. But you know, the boys, I think, would tell you, and more as they understand, it's not the three-wheeler motorcycle, and it's not the pony, and it's not the fishing ponds, and it's none of those things that they've bought. It's none of those things that we've given them that are the most important things to them in this business. I believe, and I know that they'll feel the same as they understand, what my boys have gotten from this business has been a mama and a daddy, because they didn't have that before this business. I got one last thing to read to you, and then I'm going to give you Jim. This is a little thing we had printed up at the same place that we had all the other announcements printed up that we told our story with. There were just a few of these printed and a few mailed out to a few special people, but I want to share it with you all because you've been such a part of us. It says, August the 31st, 1980. In appreciation for your love and support as we have reached this new level of achievement. Love, Jim and Dinah Martin, New Diamond Direct. Thank you.
Somebody out there a while ago asked me how many carats was in that ring. I told him enough to keep Bugs Bunny happy for 5 days. I'd had to neuter 5,000 bulls at $2 a head to get that when I was a doctor. Is it different being a diamond? You bet. Oh man, it's good. I get chill bumps. Oh, I ain't faking it no more. The dogs and cats at Brown Hospital didn't give us the reception that you all gave us when we walked up here. They weren't excited to see me because, see, in the cage there might be a 25-pound tomcat, and he didn't want me to come and work on him, see. There might be anything in there. They weren't excited. The clients weren't excited about me working because it was usually negative. But it's different today, folks. It's different being a diamond. The receptions here, you tell me where in the world could a veterinarian go and have people appreciate him? You see, this is something, I don't get it out there in my profession, and I didn't get it out there with the clients, and I didn't get it with my friends, but we found it in this business, and appreciation is important, and I appreciate what you just did for my wife as she walked off the stage, because I couldn't have given her that as a veterinarian. Is it different going shopping? Dinah used to go grocery shopping, folks, and I quit going. She'd go up the fresh fruit aisle and get fruit cocktail. She'd come up to the fresh vegetable aisle and get Kroger niblets. She'd come down the Charmin white cloud aisle and she'd get timber cutter toilet paper. Still had splinters in it. It wouldn't tear. You had judo chop it, you know. She'd buy a hamburger instead of steaks and tell her kids that those people eating steaks couldn't afford to have their meat ground like us. Talking about them people on food stamps. Is it different? Yeah, because we don't shop anymore. We eat out 3 times a day. How's your girls? No dishes when you eat out. You know that? We got a few favorite places. We eat out down by the pond, and we got every restaurant picked out. We just got different days. Eat out in a motor home. It's rough. What about mail? I used to get a lot of mail being a veterinarian. Bills. Get a lot of bills. I get a lot of literature, you know, on new equipment, like a new digital thermometer. You know, because it used to embarrass me standing there holding a dog's tail up with a thermometer, you know. I thought it was funny standing up in front of people and drawing circles. That looked kind of stupid like this, you know. But I had status. Do we get mail today? I went down to a mailbox the other day on the 17th, and the mailman come up, and he come up and he said, You in that Amway? And I said, why do you ask? He said, well, you get about 40 letters a week from them, I just wondered. And I said, well, I guess, yeah, I am. I couldn't figure out what to tell him. He said, he made a mistake, though, because it was the 17th. He said, are there any money in that? I said, I don't know. Let's open those envelopes up and see. And, we sat there, we opened this one up, and I said, I ain't got my glasses. I don't even wear them. I said, read that for me. He said, Jim and Dinah Martin, 6/15/80. He said, is that for last year? And I said, no, this month. He said, when are you going to have another meeting? Yeah. Bruh. We go down, we have mailbox parties. We go down and build a fire and roast some Winnies and marshmallows and play ball, and the mailman comes and we open the mail up. Like I told the mailman, that's my draw. Asked him if he got his yet, and he said, no, not yet. But I'm trying to tell you, folks, it's fun. The mail, it's fun to open your mail now. Except that little brown envelope I got the other day. Do without that in Brooks. Anyway, transportation. Is it any different the way I travel today? Yeah. Man, I used to go to work, had me a green GMC van that had hot and cold water and a refrigerator and had everything in it. Telephone, radio, carried my hospital right with me. Tonight, I was picked up by a limousine. I was brought over to my motorhome sitting outside where my kids were. And we went in, they put on their suits, and we brought them over here. It's just a little bit different. We're going to get an invitation from a company, and the jet plane's going to fly us down to a yacht, the Enterprise 3. That's a little bit different travel, isn't it? Is working different? Yeah, man, it is. It's different. You see, I saw Dave Taylor a while ago in his tux now walk up with his shoes and shine them. And I said, Dave, when I was a veterinarian, I couldn't do that. Yeah, you know what I'm talking to you about? I got a veterinarian on the front row slapping his leg. There's always something on their shoes somewhere. Today my work's drawing circles. I never have gotten a hernia from doing that. Those markers don't really weigh that much. What about relaxation? Yeah, I used to relax a lot. I go hunting. Me and 5,000 guys out there on Friday afternoon after the last duck. But I'd rather be the only guy out there on Monday morning after 5,000 ducks. You see, there's a whole lot of difference. That's being free. Relaxation is taking your child down to the pond and teach him how to put a worm on a hook and give him his little $4.99 rod reel, and you got your big $100 outfit over here, and showing him how to put it on and letting him throw it out there where you know there ain't nothing, and telling him when you get one, you reel it in real slow and let it play a little bit and set your drag, and then you go out there and you're getting all your stuff together, and about that time his goes under the water and he's screaming and hollering and you're jumping up down and watch him not do what you say and run and drag it up the bank about 50 yards, I want to tell you, being free to relax, to lay in your hammock and watch the clouds blow by, to go out and get your floating lawn chair out and get it out in the lake and get your rod and reel out and go fishing and hook a bass. Have you ever tried to pull a bass in a floating lawn chair? It'll drag you everywhere, man. It's fun. It's great. I just paved a basketball court. The only thing is it's down in the woods, and there's big oak trees all around it, and it's in the shade. Concrete. And we have some good games down there. When you get tired, you go up and lay in the hammock. You get tired, you go out and jump in the lake. Continuing education. Yeah, I used to go. Dinah and I would load up and go to Auburn, Alabama, sit there and watch movies on 3 new ways to neuter a tomcat or trim a dog's ears. We used to get real excited. This year, continuing education, we went to Europe to learn about buying furs. And I walked her in a shop and let her pick out a brand new, full-length blue fox fur and made her wear it home. And she walked into Louisville Airport, and it was 98 degrees and had that thing on. Now, hold on. The trick was, how do you come through customs? And she come whipping in that thing, And I walked right up to the guy and I said, would you believe that somebody give us this full-length blue fox fur coat? He said, yeah, if you were an Amway. He said, I'm in Bill Brick's organization. I know where you've been. Go on. Rough, man. Neighbors? Well, we had neighbors before. I never forget the day I come home moving this nice subdivision, just sold my animal hospital. My neighbor gave me trouble, and I went out and got my little boy's little play Winnebago. And I put it right in the middle of the driveway on Christmas Eve, and I tied a big red bow around it. My neighbor come over, and he said, what are you doing, wanting Santa Claus to bring you one of them? And I said, you know, I never thought about that. I think I'll put that on my list. The next morning, he didn't know it, but Hall's Motorhomes brought over a brand new 28-foot motorhome, parked it in the same place, took the other one out, and tied a big red bow around it. Man, it wiped him out the next morning. He had the nerve to come up and say, you renting that? And that evening when he come home, the tire cover had a big eagle planted right in the middle of it, and on top it said, fly with eagles, and on the bottom it said, or scratch for the chickens. And it had Jim and Dinah and John and James' names written right around it in a big circle. Another night I was having a directs meeting, and we were sitting around the fireplace having hot chocolate. And I looked out my window, and it was kind of snowing. There were 14 Cadillacs sitting out there. And you know, my neighbor come over about half lit right before Christmas. Now, he was a doctor, and he was beating all over the door, and I went upstairs. I said, what's wrong? He said, I'm sick and tired of this. He said, how'd you like to live in a subdivision like this and somebody like you move in? I said, well, now that you mention it, we are thinking about moving up to a nicer neighborhood. He got hot, man. I mean, he was mad. He said, oh, call the police. About that time, one of the policemen come up, state policemen come up, put his hat on and said, you want me to take this drunk in? He was downstairs having hot chocolate, and I said, what's wrong with you? He said, one of your friends got their Cadillac parked in my yard. And I said, I want to tell you something right now, boy. He's 55 and a doctor, drunk. I said, ain't a weekend go by you don't have one of them big drunk parties. And I said, the only difference between my friends and yours. I said, your friends park Volkswagens in my yard, my friends park Cadillacs in yours. Go home, loser. And the last neighbor, the one that used to get behind the curtains and go like that, y'all got any of them? Come to the first meeting, got excited, and then she got status. I took a banker with me over the house one night and went up and knocked on the door, and she said, what are you doing? I had a box of SA in my hand, and she came to the door and said, what do you want? And I said, oh, I'm just your friendly neighbor, your friendly Amway distributor, and I just wanted you to try out a new product, SA8. Laid it on her. She said, I wouldn't take that stuff if you give it to me. I said, okay, I'll give it to you. And she gave it back. I don't want it. You can't give it to me. And I said, well, you can have it. I just want you to try it. I know if you try it, you like it. She said, I'll never use that stuff. And I said, okay. And then I kind of opened the box up, and I said, you'll at least smell it. And I had 2,000 $1 bills crammed in that 7-pound box. And they went everywhere, folks. I mean, they flew out on the sidewalk and on the grass, and I was stepping on them again. And I said, oh, my goodness. I said, you should have took it. She said, why? I said, well, let me tell you something. I said, don't you know why everybody wants to get an Amway? Don't you know why everybody wants to use the products and why they love them? I said, once a month, Rich puts cash in a box instead of soap, and nobody knows who's going to get it. And you almost got it, man. Today, I don't have any neighbors. Friends, I used to have some friends. Had a bunch of veterinarians used to get drunk with, party around with, exchange tough stories with. Biggest calf I ever pulled was 230 pounds on a winter night, 32 below zero. You know, that kind of stuff. I go visit them and watch them work now. One of my buddies laughed at me. The first guy showed it to in 74, and in 1979, I drove up in front of his clinic, accidentally blew the horn, had the Mercedes going, the sunroof back, the stereo on, which only cost $1,000, got out in a brand new suit, because I'll never forget when I showed him the plan. He said, Jim, when you get rich in Amway, come back and see me. And I tell you, folks, I whipped up in front of that door and walked out and kind of leaned on the hood of that Mercedes, you know where the emblem is right there, kind of leaning on it, and he come out and he took a double step back. He said, "Oh, my God, you're rich." And I said, "Yeah." Had an old friend of mine got in insurance. That's the thing, get in, come by, sell me a $100,000 policy. Heard I made some money, hadn't seen me in 2 years. Come in there, and he whipped it on me. He said, "I want to show you the greatest thing in the world." And I said, "Okay, you show me yours. You get through, I'll show you mine." And he showed me the whole plan, and I showed him my plan. When I got through, he said, "I can tell you ain't too big." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you're only $1 billion. He said, "We're $6 billion. I said, $6 billion. I said, "Wow." He said, "Yeah, that's rinky-dink $1 billion. I said, "How long did it take you to get there?" He said, 144 years. I said, "Wow, man, I guess you had a big part in that, didn't you?" And he said, "How long did it take you all?" I said, "Well, let me tell you this. If we in 21 years were $1 billion, how long would it take us to get to $6 billion with a growth rate like this?" And he said, "By 1990. And I said, "You're telling me that our corporation is going to hit $6 billion in 30 years, and it took you 144? I said, "Who's a rinky-dink?" And I want you to think about it, folks. It's taken Amway 21 years to hit $1 billion, and you're going to see it hit 6. And it's going to be you doing it, and it's going to be the money coming back to you. Had a car agent used to laugh at me because I quit driving GMCs and started driving Cadillacs. I walked in his office the other day, and he said, "How's that Amway going?" I said, "Good enough for Rich and Jay to loan you all $100 million last month." I said, "How's that GMC going, you know?" He didn't say anything else because his chief mechanic is a pearl and drives a brand new Cadillac to work every day to change oil and filters on cars. Let me tell you about your friends in this business. I go to Florida, my 6th leg, and I'm doing a meeting, and I open a scrapbook up, and there's a letter from Paul Miller saying, "We love you," and said, "You got a great upline. If there's anything we can ever do to help you, just let us know." Ron and Toby Hale calls up her 6th leg on her way back from Peter Island and stays in Miami overnight and calls them up and says, "Hey, we want to come up and do a little attitude for you." And drove 2 hours out of the way to do about a 2-hour attitude with our group of people they'd never seen before in their life. Ken Pittman, we went to Germany and give a week of our life for him right in the middle of diamond qualification. And Ken and Doris Pittman, their group wrote over 100 postcards and sent them to that group in Florida and said, "I'll tell you what, thanks for sharing Jim and Dinah with us for a week. And if there's anything we can ever do from Germany, just let us know. If we can sponsor anybody for you here in Germany, you just let us know." A friend of mine, Tom Payne, who when we were 1,500 took 3 hours to tell me, "Jim, if you love being a veterinarian," and folks, I tell you, I loved it. It was my lifelong dream, and I was good at it. He said, "Jim, if you love it, don't do it for the money. Take your occupation and make it a vocation. Do it because you love it and don't need the money." And we got a dozen red roses from Tom and Carolyn Payne yesterday and another organization. People like Bill Britt, that when you won't go to the doctor, calls you up, makes an appointment for you, and tells you if you don't go, I'm going to get up there and kick your rear end all the way. And you go and find out what's bothering your condition. It's caused you to have 5 major wrecks in a period of about 2 years and not know why, and to get it corrected and get it resolved. And people like Mickey Hamlet, who taught me everything I know about building Amway, including the 3 main things: how to lie, cheat, and steal. Well, you know, he ain't here tonight. He taught me how to lie when you tell people when you go diamond you only make $36,000 a year. That's the biggest lie I ever heard in my life, folks. He taught me how to cheat the 45-year plan out of 42 years. And I know that you can do it too. You can be free when you decide to in a 2 to 5 year plan with Amway, and it's getting to be the 2-year plan. He taught me how to steal some time from me, from my wife and my family, and I appreciate it. And I hope your sponsor teaches you how to lie, cheat, and steal. It's fun. I'm about to end it. My mom said, "Jim, I hate for you to get in Amway and give up all that education." And the other day she called and told me about this antique sports car she'd like me to buy for her. I love her. I love her. She thought she was doing the right thing for us. What does it take to build Amway? It takes a good attitude. A dentist walked up to me the other day that was sitting right there. In the second meeting, he sat right there, and he didn't take any notes. He looked me right now, and he said, "Is it true? Just tell me, is it true?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "What do you do?" He said, "I used to teach at this major university." I said, "Why'd you quit?" He said, "Well, after 8 years of my life going to school, and after teaching 8 years of my life, when I was good, they sent me to Italy, and they sent me all over the world. I found out I had MS." He said, "You know what I got?" He said, "I got 5 kids." He said, "I got a wife. And my retirement was $500 a month." And he said, "I want my kids to be able to have an education." He said, "I want a way." He said, "This is the only chance that I've got." And I'll tell you, something inside of me made me feel good, because I see so many people that crab and complain and go on about this ain't right and that ain't right, and they ain't got a nice enough car, and nobody likes them, or upline doesn't help them. I'm seeing a guy that when he walks around for 15 minutes, he gets paralyzed maybe half of his body and blind in one eye. And he's drawing circles every night, and he's excited about this business because he knows that this business gives you permanent income instead of temporary income. And he knows that you got friends that'll help you when the going gets tough. A guy like Okie Jackson, it took me 6 months, one night a week to find Eastern Kentucky coal fields. And I showed a plan one night and set a guy right there in the corner, and that guy looked at me and he said, I wanted to try this thing. And I was sitting there, I wish you wouldn't get in, man. You know, and have him 6 months later get up on the stage and say, "Jim told me that if I got in this business, that if you tell somebody 7 times, they'll hear it and they'll understand it." He said, "You know, when I tell somebody something once, I tell them 7 times." And he said, and after I do one meeting for them, said they want to get on the board for their self. And folks, he said that after he just became a brand new gold direct. In 6 months. Or like an old friend of mine up here, Grady Bunch, that been over one day and a car run over him and paralyzed him and said he'd never walk again, and go to Florida with him and watch him come out of the water hollering, "Shark, shark," and seeing him not have a handicap, and watch him come up to my house and sit at my kitchen table. My kids go running by screaming and hollering, and he said, "You want me to show you how to settle those kids down?" And I said, "Yeah, Chuck." He said, "Boys, come here a minute. Help old Chucky pull his boot off." And the boys come running by, and he said, "Now pull," and they're pulling. He said, "Pull a little harder," and they're pulling, and he let something loose, and about that time his leg goes flying across the floor. My kids run outside and didn't come back for half an hour, man. And what I'm trying to tell you is, he's going direct this month. I want you to know it's your attitude. You got to be able to overcome discouragement. The word that kills men is no. They're afraid for somebody to tell them no, and somebody else tell them no, and they put their tail between their legs and they run home. In my house, there's a Doberman. In my house, there's a German Shepherd. And this Doberman's young, and that German Shepherd's old. And every week, this Doberman challenges that Shepherd, and they run, and they run, and they run. And they're running, and they're running, and this barking and growling. And this Doberman says, "I'm going to get you today. I think I can do it." And this German Shepherd's running across saying, "There ain't no way, man." And he's running, and they're just coming right across at each other. And every time, just before they meet, the Doberman rolls over on his back and wets on himself. Every time, man. That German Shepherd just he don't even bite him, just walks around scratching dirt and then goes back home, and that Doberman tail between his legs all the way back to the house, see? That German Shepherd ain't afraid to lose. He ain't afraid to fail. He's going to do whatever it takes, and the Doberman is afraid to try. I want to tell you something, guys. My wife told me no 100 times and I ain't quit bothering her yet. If the motivation is worth it, you'll keep on coming back. 3-minute story. November 1978, I sat at my desk and I made a decision. And that decision was to go diamond. It was the hardest decision I ever made, but after I made it, it was the easiest thing that I've ever done. I decided I'd pay whatever price that it took. At that time, I didn't know what price it would have taken. But it didn't matter. I decided to lay it all on the line. Dinah and I committed to each other. If we lose the farm, if we lose the house, the car, our status, everything that we got, we're going to lay everything that we got on this business with total belief and total commitment. And no matter what comes up to us, it's going to be a fight, because we'll never run with our tail between our legs again. I'll never let another man look me in the eye again and me be the one that lays over and waits on himself. I want to tell you something, man. I have my tail between my legs so many times I said it'll never happen again when it comes to Amway. I'll be flexible on anything except for principle in this business. And we started building it, and nothing happened. And in February 1979, we were Fake Pearls, one direct, a $4,000 group with a total volume of 7,500. One pearl leg and 7,500 volume in February 79. And in March 79, 3 qualified legs. In September 79, emerald. And I stood on this stage last year, and Jim Brooks talked, and I listened to him, and he turned me on, and he helped me. And he gave me some of that gut feeling again, man, that I'm a man and I can do it. And I wasn't going to be a whip dog anymore. And I was started sitting out there, I was going to do it. And I heard him, and he flat turned me on. And I said, I'm coming back this year as a diamond. And 6 straight months we worked, and we worked, and we worked. And in February 1980, February the 28th, or ever how many days they're in it, it went past midnight. We had 3 legs of emerald ship and $7,500 volume. And we wanted to go diamond. I rolled over to my wife, and I took her in my arms, and I said, Dinah, this is March the 1st, 1980. I said, it don't look good, but facts don't count when somebody's got a dream. I said, we're going to work like it depends on us and pray like it depends on God. March the 3rd, we drove to do a meeting for a couple. On the way home, I fell asleep, and we wrecked a Mercedes-Benz. 6 months before, a Mercedes, I drove up, and a goat jumped on the hood of my car and scratched it, and I chased it for an hour trying to kill it. And my wife told me, she said, Jim, if you kill it, I'll take your picture and put it in the paper. Veterinarian kills goat. March the 3rd, my car, man, I hit a 52 Chevrolet and did $2,000 worth of improvements to it. And I sit there and looked at Dinah, and Dinah looked at me. He said, it don't matter. She got out of the book, and I got out of the book. We couldn't even get out of the car, and we started reading, looking for the strawberry, like Brooks said. The policeman come up and got his name. The wrecker come up, got his name. One of my directs come by and took us home. When we left that car, didn't worry about the next day. We bought a van and we drove to Ashland, Kentucky. And that night, we could have not made that meeting. We were sore, man. That night, there were 102 people at that meeting, and 56 of them got in. I want to tell you something. I'm glad we went on, because that month they went direct. At the end of that month, we went from 7,500 to 44,000. And we were in diamond qualification, folks. And here it is, September 1980. And a dream come true that I decided to do in November 1978. And I didn't know where the people were coming from, but I didn't let the problem-solving phase interfere with the decision-making phase. And facts don't count when you've got a dream. I'm going to leave you with this. We come back from Germany, and on the way back in the motorhome, we're driving up through Knoxville. And we passed the zoo, and my wife said, let's go back. I said, honey, I don't want to go to that darn zoo. It's hot today. And we're going to meet Ken and Doris after a while. And we went on to Harry Johnson, checked in and went swimming. And so many times she's asked me, and I said, all right, we're going to the zoo, and we're taking the boys. And I didn't want to go. And we got there, and we went, and we paid to get in. There's only about 2 hours left. And I was walking through, and we were on our way to Diamond, and it was right in the middle of it. Man, it's the 4th month, and I was discouraged just a little bit. And I walked through, and I didn't want to see the monkey scratching herself, but the boys liked it, and they about kicked me out because I was trying to get a kangaroo to jump up and down, you know, and they run. But I looked through the monkeys and the snakes and the turtles and everything, and I was getting ready to leave, and I walked over, and I was leaning on a cage and looked and reading, and it was an eagle cage. And it said, presented by the Audubon Society, it said, this golden eagle was shot down by a hunter and has a broken limb and can't take care of himself, so we're taking care of him. And they come along and threw some hamburger in there, and that eagle flew down picking up hamburger. And I got sick. And I wanted to just get out of there. And it was so hot. I had my shirt unzipped, man. It was just hot and sweaty. And I was taking pictures of the turtles and the monkeys, and I didn't want no picture of an eagle in a cage. But a breeze come up off that hill, and it felt good. And I got over on the edge of the hill, and I was just standing there, man, God, it feels good, and just kind of opened my shirt up a little bit. And I looked up, and that eagle flew up to the top of that perch. It was on a big cliff. And that wind was coming, and it was really starting to whip up there, and his feathers were really starting to ruffle. And I saw that eagle get up on the top perch, and I saw him dig his talons in, and the bark shredding. And I saw him putting his head down and looking that way instead of down, looking up toward the clouds. And then I saw him. I saw him get up on his toes, and I saw him stretch his wings out. And I mean all the way. And the harder that wind blew, he just stood there looking straight forward. And I hollered for Dinah, Dinah, bring the camera, you got to see this. It was so beautiful. And before she could get over there, the wind stopped. And he let his wings back down, and he looked down again. And I didn't want a picture of him anymore. I want to tell you something today, folks. You're in here today, and this is an eagle's nest, and you're eagles. But I want to tell you something else, that you're going out there tomorrow, and there are going to be bars on your cage, and they're not going to be steel bars. They're going to be bars, economic bars. You're going to be controlled by somebody. And somebody's going to tell you got to be at work or else. You can't go to that rally or else. Somebody's going to say you can't do it, you can't have this, you can't do this, you can't have that car, your kids can't go to this school, because Bill Britt said you cannot have personal freedom unless you've got economic freedom. And freedom isn't free. And I want you to know something, that if we don't stand up and do something, if we don't get out there and a bunch of us men become free men and economically be free, that someday the door's going to shut and we're going to be in the bottom of that cage picking up scraps. And someday a wind's going to blow and we're going to look out there and tell our kids, look out there and dream about freedom. But freedom isn't a dream in this country today. It's a reality. And the key to that cage is Amway. And I've got it and you've got it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Because we've got the greatest leadership in the world. Jim and Dinah Martin from Kentucky loves you. Open that door. Become a free man. And let's make this a place for our children to be free. We love you. Ain't it great?